Stay dandy, baby. In the last episode of Boruto Z, Boruto had gone insane. He'd been infected and possessed by the power of Momoshiki Otsutsuki as a giant horn erupted from his skull as he prepared to kick the shit out of Tetsuo Boro. But before we jump into the rest of this review, thank you guys again for watching my content. Please think about subscribing to the channel. Hit that like button. It's super easy to do. Not to mention, maybe you could check out my Patreon. Remember guys, first-time donators will receive an anime review of their choosing, so make sure to check that out. I'd also love to add your name to this list of all these amazing people that you currently see on screen, but let's go ahead and jump into the latest episode of Boruto, which was pretty damned exciting. We finally got to see what's going on with the whole Boruto-Momoshiki dynamic here. Essentially, his body is slowly being possessed by Momoshiki, and in this moment of craziness, basically, Boruto is gone. His consciousness is gone. It's all Momoshiki using his body and his abilities to beat the ever-living shit out of Boro, and it's pretty freaking awesome. Not only does he kick his giant lard ass around, but he manages to like rip his arms off, and then manages to siphon the power from Naruto's body, in particular taking some of that Karama chakra, creating a ridiculously oversized Rasengan and finishing off Boro in a blaze of glory. Now, while all of this is awesome and it looks really cool, I have to admit I'm a little disappointed with the whole Boro thing. I really was kind of hoping that maybe they would make a big change from the manga version where maybe he would survive and we get to see more of him in the future, especially with the whole build-up of his whole crazy big cult. Now, that cult could come into play into its very own arc later on, and I have a feeling they did that on purpose. They're planting the seeds for something here, folks. You never know what could potentially happen. With the crazy technology that Kara has, for all we know, they might even revive the giant regenerating bastard, but we're just gonna have to wait and see. I will say, though, this entire scene of Momoshiki taking control of Boruto and just kicking the shit out of Boro was really satisfying, and it had some really nice animation, especially that big final Rasengan moment with a really giant explosion. You know me, I like action anime, and this certainly rocked my jollies just watching it. It definitely gave me a couple wiggles down there. I really loved this scene, but just as quickly as it started, it ended. Boruto gets his body back, everybody is saved, they return back to Konoha Village, and now everybody's sort of picking up the pieces after all of these crazy events which happened. Naruto is going to be recovering. Sarada is wheelchair-bound. Kawaki is the mayor of Strugglesville, and he's being looked over by Sumire. Again, I love the dynamic between these two characters for how strikingly similar they actually are. Two characters who were forced to basically become living weapons, and now they have to reconcile with where they are at this point. Sumire has had a much easier time of doing this. Kawaki is much more of an outsider, but I have a feeling that she's going to be very instrumental in helping out his character. And again, I just love the interactions between all of them. Shikamaru continues to be a weird character in this arc. I really wish that he would just, you know, take Naruto's word and give him the benefit of the doubt, because he's still very suspicious of Kawaki, and I don't blame him. He's Shikamaru. He's one of the smartest characters in the series. He's always been very analytical and very level-headed when it comes to things, but Naruto also has always seemed to have a pretty good sort of understanding of someone's character and motivation, and you would think that Shikamaru at this point would sort of trust him. I'm not asking him to, like, blindly believe that everything that Naruto is saying about Kawaki and everything. I just wish he would sort of pump the brakes a little bit on being such an asshole to Kawaki. I don't know, it just seems a little strange for the character. Maybe that's just the way I'm viewing it. Maybe you think differ. Sound off in the comments if you believe it's something else. But really, most of this episode, again, was just sort of the recovery after this massive battle and all the higher-ups in Konoha Village realizing that Kara is officially one hell of a threat. They understand who a lot of the other members are now, and even Sasuke himself is starting to realize that Jigen, the leader, is actually a vessel for someone else entirely. Now, if you saw the end of the battle between Jigen, Naruto, and Sasuke, you already have kind of an idea of who this individual is. This mysterious Ishiki Otsutsuki. Yes, another Otsutsuki member. They're not making it outright clear, but again, put the pieces of the puzzle together, connect the dots, la 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 la. I think you're going to be able to get it. But otherwise, this was a pretty solid episode right here, continuing to build up more on that weird thing that's going on with the karma and Boruto's body being taken over by Momoshiki. It's just going to add a brand new dynamic to the rest of the series. Again, proving that this Kara arc is the best thing that has happened to the Boruto anime series thus far. at least in my opinion. So, what's the rundown on the latest episode of the series? I'm actually glad that I got to review one episode today. There was supposed to be another one today. It got delayed, so now I get to really focus on this one, and it was one that I really enjoyed. A lot of it really for the first half of the episode, which I thought was really solid. I mean, Boro was losing control, and he was giant and powerful and everything, but, you know, Boruto being controlled by Momoshiki and flying around like a fucking Dragon Ball Z character was pretty friggin' cool. I have to admit, the removal of his arms and just kicking him around and pounding him into the ground and then making that giant Rasengan, that was a pretty epic moment. I really loved the look of it. I'm a sucker for a big, awesome Rasengan explosion, and this one looked really good. It was very solid, and it was sort of like the nice final punctuation point to that battle with Boro and everything, and I thought it was really solid across the board. Again, the best thing about this whole Boro battle is that everybody has kind of had like a chance to shine and do their very own thing. But again, this is another one of those episodes that remind us that this is Boruto's anime series, and he is the main character, at least at this point in time, and it's been a while since he's had like a really solid moment devoted to him, despite the fact that it really wasn't him doing anything. It was his body being taken over by Momoshiki, which again makes that moment from way before or after that massive battle when he said, like, you know, once you've killed a god, you know, life for you will never be the same. It's completely changed the destiny of this character. You know, it's not unlike the previous show where, you know, Naruto himself was also inhabited by Kurama the Nine-Tailed Fox. Now Boruto has to worry about, you know, having to share a body with this crazy godlike figure from space. So it sort of puts him like in the same boat as his father, but just kind of with a different dynamic. You know, obviously Kurama could of course take over Naruto's body as well and did on multiple occasions. But here it's something else entirely. Like it's going to completely take his very consciousness away from him and basically, you know, make himself reborn yet again, which is a very disturbing and scary thought, and it sort of adds this nice new layer of tension to the rest of the series of wondering, when is Momoshiki going to manifest again? When is he going to pop up and cause a lot of damage? And how dangerous is Boruto now that he's going to be around everybody? I mean, Momoshiki could pop up at any time, and I'd like to believe that Momoshiki doesn't really like a lot of the people around him, and he basically wants to kill him. So Boruto has almost in many ways become a massive threat just as much as he's become the protagonist of the series, which I think is great. On a technical level of things, I thought this was a pretty solid looking episode of the show, especially the opening scenes of him being taken over by Momoshiki and just, you know, laying the smacketh down on Boro. I thought that was pretty solid stuff right there. Otherwise, just kind of standard for the rest of the episode. Nothing that's, you know, to write home about, but otherwise a pretty clean looking episode that's got me excited to see what's next. It looks like the series is going to take its time in building up the character of Kawaki just a little bit more, which I think is important for the character. He has had certainly some development in the manga version as well, but the anime really seems to excel at taking a character and making you care about them just a little bit more. So I can't wait to see what they're actually going to do with that, and I'm excited for more Kara developments and exciting stuff, you know, good adaptations of the manga, and maybe even some brand new material to supplement that. The sky's the limit right now for this point for the Boruto anime. They just went through a lot of the manga, though, in a very short amount of time, and there's only so much more for them to actually cover at this point, so I'm interested to see where they're going to go from here. But this episode right here I thought was really solid, so I'm going to give it a 4 out of 5, and I honestly think you guys should check it out. A lot of you probably already have, considering the episode's already, you know, been out for like over a week at this point, but I'd really love to get your thoughts about it, and you can tell me all of them in the comments section below, telling me what you thought about this episode with Momoshiki taking over Boruto and just kicking the shit out of Boro. What were your favorite moments? What do you think this is going to have like some sort of effect on the rest of the series? What do you hope to see from the rest of the Boruto anime? Let's talk all about it. Comment section below. Thank you guys so much for watching this review. I'll see you all next time. And as always, stay down there, baby.